moving on the screen. And I had like this crazy zombie game, and I actually used to have a lot of nerve. Like I used to be able to play these games and complete them, and like now I can't even do it. Like my boyfriend was playing a Resident Evil, like they've remastered.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting there like, like I'm on edge. I'm just watching it and I'm like literally nearly crying. I'm like, I need to leave the room. Like I can't deal with it. Like it's the suspense of it. Like I can't deal because I'm in control. And like I tried to play it once. I had the remote and I was like sweating. I was like, I'm on edge. Like I know he's coming. Like I know Mr. X is coming. I can hear him.
Running around.
Play them. If I ever tried to stream it, it would just be like the most irritating thing to watch in the world because it would just be me just like crying.
Well, it could be good entertainment. I don't know. You never know. That might work.
That might be the thing that pops off.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we should mention. You just mentioned about boyfriend. Obviously, for those that don't know, you are with Danny Duggan, who is a well-known British wrestler, known him for a long time. He had a great year last year as well.
Yeah.
Super 16. I was there. I watched that. It was excellent. What is it like being in a relationship, both wrestlers? Is it difficult or is it okay? Because there are quite a lot of couples that I know, but I think most kind of, it can be stressful. It can't be stressful. I mean, obviously with you two, you must be in all sorts of different locations a lot of the times. Does that crop up a lot, or do you try and book where you can both go at the same time?
I mean, to be honest, like I think it's much better dating a wrestler. Like I was obviously single and like I had no intentions of dating anyone, but obviously I met Dan and like we just really, really got on, and when you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we're both wrestlers, but I couldn't imagine not dating someone who does what I do, because like I say, I'm up in the morning, I go to work, as does he. Then we go in the gym together for 3 hours, and then we come back, and then you basically just crash like it's beds. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't really get much time in the week apart from maybe your rest day. And then at the weekend, you're working all weekend. So if I was dating a normal person, I would never see them. Like, you would never, like, they wouldn't see me in the week unless, like, maybe my one night off. And then they wouldn't see me on the weekend because I'm working. Whereas, like, when you're with a wrestler, like, you're either doing it with them because, like, we work out together, or, maybe travel to shows together, or, like, they understand because they're doing the same thing. Like, say Dan's got Progress on Sunday and I'm elsewhere. Like, we get it. Like, we're not going to see each other because we're both doing what we're passionate about and working towards our goals, and you get it. Whereas, like, I think if you're dating a normal person, like, imagine just being on your own all the time because your partner's wrestling. Like, I just don't know how that would work. Whereas, at least when you're both wrestlers, you're either in it together, or when you're not together, you're like, I get it. Like, do what you need to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine not. It'd be really different. That you say there's a lot of couples in wrestling. It's just because it's just like, it works, like I
think it's those things, because if you're with somebody as well that is not even a wrestling fan, you're probably in a lot of trouble, because they'd be why are you going out again?
Literally.
Traveling all these miles, what are you trying to get out of this
as
stuff?
well?
I just couldn't imagine.
You miss like family, like you miss everything. Like when people have birthday parties, you don't go to any of it because you're working. And like, for a normal person, especially if they're not a wrestling fan, they're like, why are you not coming to my mum's birthday? And it's like, because I'm doing Progress. I don't care about Progress. Like, what is Progress? And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, oh my gosh, like, you know what I mean? It would be like one of those things where you have like the biggest opportunity of your life, and they're like, but it's my mum's birthday. So it's got to be one of those ones where I think, I don't know. People probably make it work. Like, I don't know. But for me personally, like, I don't know if I would be able to deal with it, because I just feel guilty because I'd never see the person, but you also are trying to chase your dreams, so it's like a bit of a difficult one.
And just to finish up on something like your wrestling stuff, because I'm going to move on to some WWE after, just a little bit to end the show, but what do you prefer working as? Like, have you sort of tested both and waters in the fact of playing babyface or heel? And if so, what has felt natural to you? Because obviously everybody, I think, like appearance-wise, they see you, and I think you could probably give a misrepresentation sometimes. Because when you're in the ring, you lay it in thick. I've seen it up close. I've seen how you work. But I think there's that persona with you where people think, oh, she's a typical, going to just be a baby face. That's it, But have you sort of like dabbled with trying to be the heel or baby face and vice versa? And what seems to fit natural with you?
So it's funny, like when like I was just, I was a wrestling fan before I'd started
Mm-hmm.
learning how to wrestle. Obviously, I was gaining a following because people are like, oh, she's like a wrestling fan, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you should wrestle. You'd be such a good heel. You'd be like the ultimate diva. Like, you'd be the best heel ever. So, like, when I started training, like, in my head, when I was practicing promos, I was always doing heel because, like, for me, I just have so many ideas. Like, I'm very excited for when I eventually get into that because I have so many ideas, like, that I think will just be great. And, like, I don't know, it just felt like I attached to it. I mean, I don't know what that says about me, but I love playing that role. And then when I actually came to wrestling, like, I actually started as a babyface because I think it's the best way to learn. In my opinion anyway, I mean, everyone's different, but like for me, I think it's much easier to start as babyface and to learn and get your confidence and get comfortable and learn how to do that, learn how to get that babyface fire and that energy that, is harder to learn later on in the line. So yeah, I always, I'm a babyface, right? But when I went to wrestle in Belfast, they were like, you can be babyface or heel.
Right.
And the girl at their promotion was like a big baby face. So I thought, okay, I'll be a heel, like, help, it makes more sense and we can tell a good story and stuff. Oh my God, I got so much heat. Like, so I'd never been heel before, but obviously this was kind of like my like dream. It's like my like, my closeted dream. Like, I always wanted to be a heel. So I had like all these ideas and like I went out, I got so much heat. Like, I really enjoyed working the style. By that point, I'd had like 10, 15 matches. So I was comfortable enough to kind of lead the match, which is important as a heel to just be able to command it. And like, I got loads of heat. She was really over. Like, I really enjoyed it, like winding up the crowd. And, it really worked. Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, I remember being like, I'm so excited for the day that I actually go heel because I had such a good time. Like, oh my God, I loved it. But then I also was like, I really didn't like upsetting the kids. Like,
yeah,
that's like really,
that's the
I'm
one
so
that gets
used
you.
to coming out and being like, yay! And like this time I was like, nah.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, the thing is, I suppose, really, like, especially in this scene for a female talent, is also like your merchandise as well. Because to those people that, if you go real full commitment in being a heel, I think that like you want it at the point where, like, for me personally, yeah, like because you remember the old WWF stuff, like heels never had merchandise. It just wasn't something people could buy. You'd only buy Hogan stuff, Warrior, but heels never used to sell back then. So that was like almost a bit of a nightmare if you was on that side of things. So, you'd have to sort of be working with the big programs with the big baby face to draw the money. But on your merchandise, that wasn't happening. Nowadays, I think there's been such a huge shift where it's very difficult because heels often are cool and they often make. And I really don't like it, but it's just something that's happened. It's evolved.
You
it's
say
here,
that,
but
like,
it's hard.
I think it depends where you are. Like, so, so where I was, it was more of a family-based crowd. Like, one of the mums was literally about to chase me out of there. Like, she hated me so much. So, like, I think if I took merch out there, like, I mean, I did put my photos out and I sold a couple, but they were to, like, people who were, like, sort of young adults and they were a bit, like, I'd say smarter to it. Like, there were a few girls that were actually knew who I was before I came. So, therefore, they're like, oh my God, you've come to, like, Northern Ireland, like, can I have your merch? And like, there are a couple of guys that obviously were just, yeah, she's cool, like, whatever. So at family shows, I think your merch takes a massive hit. Like, because for them, like, you're horrible. Like, they don't want your merch. Why would they? Like, do you know what I mean? So at family shows, I think what you're saying about a heel, therefore their merch taking a hit, I completely agree with you. Like, I think at family shows it happens, whereas what you're saying about people still thinking it's cool, I think at places where the crowd's much smarter, like, there's quite a few promotions here where the crowd are, it's all adults, they're very smart to it.
Yeah,
they almost appreciate they almost appreciate it too much, if that makes sense. So they will come in and buy it. Like, I learned loads of people who are heels and they make a killing on merch because people just think they're cool, but they'll go to the merch table and the heel will still, like, talk them down, but they'll still buy their merch because, like you say, they think it's cool. But I think at family shows it works, and like they won't buy your merch because they believe it. Whereas at adult shows, I mean, they're obviously much smarter to it, so they still kind of think you're cool and they'll buy your stuff. Yeah.
Yes, but it's a fascinating thing. I like a lot of the wrestlers I've had on recently. We've all discussed this about how difficult it can be to be a full-blown heel in this day and age, like to really commit to it, some of the stuff you'd have to do. And we're living in a world of much more PC now as well. So it's even harder in a way. Like you'd really have to sort of keep yourself to yourself. You probably wouldn't be able to go out alone after the event and stuff like that. I mean, I've seen some guys go full pelt and you're like, wow, that's going some. But
I think, like you say, like the piece, it's too difficult. Like sometimes because it's a mixed barrel. It's either like wrestlers like they want to be heels, but then they also kind of want people to like appreciate how good they are as a heel. And it's like if you're gonna do it, like you have to be like scum. Like you have to really go for it. And then the other side of it is like, you know, I've seen people go for it and like people have tried to cancel them online, and it's like they haven't done anything. Like they've been a heel. Like when you went to like that's the idea. Like you're meant to go home and literally be annoyed. Like you know, and that's the thing. Like I think it changes so much now. I think people are so smart to like being. You know who one of the best heels was without meaning to be a heel was Eva Marie, because people literally hated her to the point where they would go home after an event and still talk about this woman, still tweet about her, still talk about her on the internet, like rather than the person who's been doing it for 10 years doing this heel work. They didn't care. They hated this woman so much who seemingly got everything, seemingly didn't do any work, and they just WWE played that, and she played that to like a T. And like she's like one of the people I think like she's actually had real heat, like as in heat that translates and carries over and makes her like an actual legit heel, not, oh, well, she's cool though. Like a lot of heels now, like you say, it's cool to dislike them. It's cool to, you know, they know what they're doing, so they think it's cool. So I think to be a full-blown heel now, you've got to be very like smart about it, and you have to play people into it. But it is tough because, you know, like you say, if you played it legit and like you played it on Twitter, you'd probably get cancelled. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I mean.
People would be going for your head. Like, I think, and they're tame as well. Like, you know, obviously what they tweet is extremely PC, and like I've seen it with them. People are like, oh my god, like this is this shaming or this, and like, you know, go crazy. And it's like, I mean, I guess that's the intended like purpose. Like, you want people to actually hate you, but it is tough to kind of get it across because it's so difficult today, because everything you say is like, you have to be very careful what you say. And, you know, if you watch heels back in the day, they didn't care. Like, they went for it. And then they would always get their comeuppance. Like, they would always get beat, or, you know, justice would be done. But you can't do that now. Like, Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax had a storyline, and obviously Alexa was a bully and like she was fat shaming Nia.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And I remember it got so much controversy, but like then at WrestleMania, Nia like ended her. Like she you know, she destroyed her and won the championship, and Alexa was crying in the ring. And like this message to kids is like, this is what happens when you're like a bully, you know, you'll get your comeuppance. And it was such a good like moral of the story, but people weren't happy because they felt like, oh my god, it's fat shaming. But like, isn't that the point of wrestling, is to like address different stories? Because like for me, you know, wrestling always told stories like the same way like soaps like EastEnders and Coronation Street, like they address real life issues, they address things that might be uncomfortable, and then they tell the story of it. And that's what wrestling is. But it's harder today because everyone has to be like, you know, get over on the internet for being like a social justice warrior and like you know, ruin people's careers and cancel them and ruin their lives because they're like, you know, they want to be woke and whatever. Like I don't know, like, it does my head in. But yeah, I think that massively can hinder people's heel work, because you can't keep that and carry that over.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with everything you just said there. A lot of my listeners, it was like a common theme. Every week we do like a WWE review of what's gone on, and it was the time where everybody was rejecting Roman Reigns. Like everybody hated him, and I used to get emails like, "Why don't they turn him heel? Why don't they turn him heel?" And my reply to that was, if they turn him heel, you'll suddenly start liking the guy. That's why they're not going to do it. If he's the perfect heel as he is, he doesn't have to turn, but like, because you don't like him.
Even then, though, like if for me, like wrestling, like you say, it's changed so much, right? It's no longer like your classic bad guy, good guy. Like All Stars and those kind of places is the only place really where you can do that. Like now, it's so much different. It's about a reaction. Roman Reigns got a reaction. If they made Roman Reigns like a heel, would he still get that reaction? Like, would he get the reaction he does? Because it's never quiet when he comes
No.
out. And I can't name many people who get a reaction like that week in, week out. Like, there's, you know, and any guy you put him in with, he makes a star. Like, he's phenomenal. But that would never have happened if they turn him heel, I guess.